My job on this podcast is to help you reframe your mindset from thinking that a no is selfish to a no actually being your greatest tool in your self-preservation. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Anything Goes with Anna Rose. This feels more like it, loves. I am back in front of the camera. So if you're watching this on the YouTube, hello, my loves. But I am back in front of the camera. I am recording this in my beautiful, tiny but mighty home studio. And I cannot wait to bring this episode to you. It's really funny. I feel like I haven't done this for a while. I feel like because I obviously did last week's just sitting at the computer. This is just a little BTS of my life, you guys. And then prior to that, I always batch. So I will sit and record 4 or 5 episodes in a row. Little life hack for you, how I get everything done. So I wouldn't have sat in front of lights, camera, action for over 5 weeks. So it feels really good to be back. But today, if you are, as I said, watching, you will see that I have, for one of the first times, my laptop in front of me with me, because I have taken some notes today to absolutely make sure that I don't miss any of the points that I wrote down to have this conversation, because I feel like it is such a pertinent, important one to bring to you, especially you queens. And that is, as the title suggests, reclaiming the power of your no, the permission to prioritize yourself. Now, this was inspired because I have had one of the most insanely busy, output-wise, demanding schedules of my business life. But I also feel like that just never ends. And that's all self-imposed, by the way. This is me beautifully excited by this. So if you were watching my life, there's no complaint in this. It's literally, I'm here to sit and talk to you today around how I can actually get the quantity and the quality of what I do get done whilst never missing the point. And that is because I've long ago reclaimed the power of my no. No is a complete sentence, full stop. So the last 2 weeks, I have alone done a 4-day, as in like just in the last 2 weeks, I have done my first ever 4-day self-love mastery retreat, which was unbelievable. I'm actually going to have a podcast coming after this one. I'm going to unpack that whole event. I really want to talk about the power of retreats. I'm also going to talk about business. So how I ran that as a business as well, because a lot of people say you can't make money off retreats, and I call bullshit on that. So anyway, I just had my 4-day self-love mastery retreat, which was phenomenal, absolutely incredible, with the 13 women that came. I then got home and went straight into keynoting at a huge event with a couple of hundred people here on the Gold Coast, which was incredible, the Wealth Summit. I had an incredible time. And that was a 45-minute keynote. And that's a lot. Like, that takes a lot of brain power. I obviously had to create that presentation. I take speaking very seriously. I respect the art. So I put a lot of time and energy and effort into making sure that I master each keynote that I deliver. So there was a lot of time and effort that went into that. The next day I went into a 6-hour shoot, which was super fun, shooting the entire next collection that is dropping in December, which is a restock and then a new crop that is dropping. And I did that with Katie, the bestie, and the GM, and then 2 gorgeous girlfriends. Shout out to Cass and Nick. Thanks, girls. And then today is Thursday, but this Saturday I have my own huge production of recording my 100th Anything Goes podcast, which I am so excited about. I am so excited. It's going to be a really fun event. Honestly, for me, it's just execution, right? I have an idea and I move on it. And I love that no matter what, I win or I learn. I win or I learn. And we will do a whole podcast on that. But there's been a lot, is my point. In the last 2 weeks, I have done a lot. I am achieving a lot. I am putting out in the world a lot. You have to understand and respect as well while that all happens. So for enormous energy expenditure, events and or business demands and or whatever you want to call what I've just experienced or done, my life continues. So businesses have to be run. Calls are, the pressure is on me. I have things booked like I don't have a PA, I don't have a VA. I still do all of my own admin. My life continues, social media, all my social media still continue. I always laugh and say, and it is the absolute truth. My own social media, so at the real underscore Anna Rose itself is a full-time job. And there's not a chance in hell I will ever hand that account over to anyone to ever touch. No one will ever have the login for that, because that's me. I always want you to get me over there, but I wouldn't anyway because they couldn't handle it. What I do, like the amount that comes into that inbox and just the love I have for you all is insane. But my point is, all of that still occurs as well. And on top of that, the last 2 weeks, I've obviously brought the fight to the government in terms of reigniting and hopefully getting the nation into action with some other phenomenal human beings that are also, hugely an ambassador and a voice for this, but making sure that the misinformation and disinformation bill doesn't go through. Now, taking a breath, that is all to say, as I said, that there is a lot that happens in my life, and there is not a chance in hell that I could do it all and have it all in the capacity that I do if I was not rock fucking solid with my no. So when I say no, it is a complete sentence in my life. And I just want to go over 2 sort of key attributes. There'll probably be more. I've got a couple of notes here as to how that became a muscle. So first of all, I want to talk about building your no muscle. I also want to talk about why people struggle to say no and how it's obviously affecting your energy. And predominantly have the conversation around the reframe, because I know so many people, including me, and there's probably people out there that say that I'm so selfish with my time or whatever else. Good. Keep that rumor. I never want to change your mind, because my job on this podcast is to help you reframe your mindset from thinking that a no is selfish to a no actually being your greatest tool in your self-preservation. And so you've only got one life, and it's your life. And how you choose to live that life and what you choose to do in that life and how you choose to show up and what you choose to pursue and the dreams that you choose to have and the goals that you choose to go after are all of yours. And they have been put on your heart, in your head, in your sacral, in your whatever. They make up part of your human design, your astrology, all of the things, but they're yours. And they're only yours. And it is your life to pursue and to go out after, like your life depends on it, with as much passion and veracity and love and passion and whatever else as your heart desires. But you cannot do that if you are out there, and I'm especially and predominantly talking to the queens now, but you can't do that if you are saying yes to things, people, events, containers, distractions, whatever else in your life that you don't either you don't want to do and you're saying out of obligation or martyrdom or because you quote unquote have to, which is oftentimes bullshit. And I'll give so many examples as to how and why that is implemented in a sense in my life. What I was going to say is people could always say, anyone can say that, right? Well, I have to go to my mother-in-law's. No, you fucking don't. No, you don't. Or I have to do this for my family. No, you fucking don't. You actually don't. And the minute that you actually start to put boundaries in place, if that pisses the person off, good. Sit in that uncomfortability. So let's go into it because I don't want to go too far ahead. So number one, I feel like there's this whole culture of yes. There's a yes culture, especially again for us women. I'm basically predominantly talking to women, okay? We are the ones that martyr ourselves with our yeses. But our yes culture is draining us, right? So often socially, including birthday parties or events or catch-ups or drop-ins or favors that acquaintances are asking you to do, so many times you are putting that pressure on yourself to say yes, often because it's you don't want to rock the boat or you don't want to upset someone or you don't want to piss someone off at the expense of yourself and your own happiness and your own best interests. at best, right? Your own best interest. So at worst, you're saying yes completely at the detriment of your own health, right? So first and foremost, the number one thing we have to do is actually recognize that our yes culture, so your yes culture in your life, is draining you. And not only draining you, it's potentially very much hurting you. So that's the first thing. It's actually taking stock and responsibility and going, do you know what? Yep, I have been in the past saying, and I get it all the time, Anna, but you wouldn't understand. No, no, I do. I really do. But so often we will say, I have to do that. Or you don't understand, like, if I don't, I'll piss the person off. Good, piss them off. Set a boundary and hold it, sis, because it is literally affecting your health and like you are putting your own interests last, which is a problem. So recognize and take responsibility that your own yes culture that you have potentially created in your own life is hurting you, but it's your responsibility to change it. So step number one is taking stock of that and taking responsibility. Step number two within that, it's being gentle with yourself and recognizing and really realizing that you're like the toll that it is taking on yourself mentally and emotionally is stretching you thin. It has stretched you so thin. So just give yourself grace for a minute and be like, do you know what? I'm taking responsibility for this because I have so much that I actually want to achieve, or I want to give more time to my kids and, not at the detriment to saying yes to so many other things or extracurricular activities or favors or birthday parties on the weekend or whatever else that you actually really don't want to go to. And you want to apply yourself to your side hustle, your kids, your self-care, whatever it is. And it's time that you get to do that. And the way we're going to do that is this reframe. So often either ourselves fundamentally or others will project onto us, and I'm saying ourselves as the primary issue here, feel selfish for saying no. So like it's like, oh, I'm selfish if I say no because it will hurt the other person, or like they've helped me, or whatever the truth is. I'm not even going to go into them, but often more times than not, we say yes because we feel selfish if we say no. Or very importantly, often people will project onto you, be it words or energy, that you're selfish for being no, or family will tell you, for example, or besties will tell you that you're selfish if you say no. And that is bullshit. Let them have their beliefs and their projections. Sis, you've got your self-preservation. So the huge thing for me is when you set the boundary, when you understand that no is a complete sentence and you get to have that power to say no to whatever you want, whenever you want, you get to start prioritizing your needs, and that creates more space for the right things in your life. So like I said before, everything I just accomplished in my life, I actually had to say no to some, and it goes the other way as well, right? So I had to say no to some incredible opportunities. Other coaches wanted me on their masterminds. Someone wanted me to come and speak at something else. And for me, I could only actually do so much, and I knew the capacity at which I could operate at. So sometimes, my loves, this includes actually saying no to incredible opportunities as well, right? And with no explanation, no justification, no excuses, just no, because no is a complete sentence. So when we can reframe, okay, no, actually my sacred no, or my fuck you no, or my absolutely not, whatever it is for you, the power that you want to put behind it, is helping me prioritize my own needs and actually creating space for the right things in my life, right? So it's not just about self-preservation. It's also fundamentally about getting you to the growth in your life of where you want to go. So for me, as I said, there's two aspects to this. So often, I will say a lot of the time it is probably friends. If you don't have, like I've worked my whole life to create the inner circle that I have now. So it would be very rare. I'd say it would be very rare that I would say no to them, because if they're asking me something, they would need it, right? But they don't. They never ask too much of me. They always know. And in saying that as well, if I can't or I don't want to do it, it is just a no without over justifying, without justification, without like hysterical, like, I'm so sorry. I'm just like, I just can't, soz chick. Right. It's just a no. And I stand in my power with that. So, another huge one that I want to speak into is family. I think for so many people, they say yes, even though they know that person or people or situation or event that they go to, in-laws or direct blood family, you say yes when really you're screaming to say no, and you go, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy, you're put in the same toxic situations. And just like, I personally don't subscribe to, and it's worked fucking phenomenally so far in life, that blood is blood. Blood is not blood. And if blood is absolutely blood, but cut everyone open and they all bleed red, right? So you go choose your blood. So often I have found with women, who they say no to the least is who they need to say no to the most. And that is predominantly family, often, or in-laws, as I've said. So there was so many times in my past relationship where I would just say, I can't, absolutely not. And there would be times where it would be like, that's going to cause an issue. And I'm like, well, that's their problem, not mine. And even now, I will always honor my no. If it's a no for me, it's a no for me, and it's a sacred no. And I don't care if anybody wants to project their shit onto me, like, oh, she can't do that, or she can't say that, or she should be here. No, no, yes, I can. No, I don't. And that's all your shit. It's your story, not mine. So how you, I believe, can say no gracefully, and how you're going to start to practice building your no muscle is saying it, right? Is actually just saying no. Like, can you come to this event? No. Silence. The person that speaks first loses. No, but if that's too hard, but this is what I want women to get into a point where no is a complete sentence, and you can sit in the uncomfortableness of when you say it. If you're asked something, just go, no, you can say, sorry, no, I'm really sorry, I can't do that. Full stop. You don't need to over justify. You don't need to over explain yourself. You don't need to come up with lies. It's just like, no, that actually won't work for me. So it's going to have to be a no. Or no, it's just not going to happen this weekend. Or nope, sorry, Jane, we're busy. Full stop. But the more that you can practice saying no, and that to me is graceful. I think when you say yes and you don't mean it, you're disrespecting yourself. Fundamentally, you're disrespecting yourself. So for me, when people say, how do you say no gracefully though, Anna? I'm like, well, grace to me is when you stand in your own truth and your own power. And so when no is a complete sentence, full stop, no, that to me is graceful, because you're telling the truth and you've set a boundary and you're honoring your boundary. And I find that the most graceful, powerful, potent way to say no. And when you say no, that is grace, because you are, you're the one that's saying, actually, no, that's not going to work. Or sorry, not this weekend. Or no, we're not coming. Oh, why? It's just a no. But you will find as well, people will start to respect you or no more, because they understand that you have boundaries. You say yes when you can. And you'll say no when it doesn't work, which is really powerful. So when you say yes as well, it's actually even more powerful, because you really want to be there. And then when you go and you show up on the call, or to the mastermind, or to the family event, or to the in-laws event, or to the kid's birthday party, or whatever else is the truth for you, you're there. Like, you're really there. It's not like, fuck, I don't want to be here. You don't rock up in a mood. There's no of that negative energy. You know, when you can feel when someone walks into the room and you're like, they don't want to be here. That's you. If you're saying yes to things and you actually mean no, and then you go, for me, I don't experience this with people, because it's like, I just wouldn't have you in the room. But and this is so powerful to understand this. Like, I just literally don't have people like that in my life. A no is a no in my world, right? And so guess what the people around me are like? A no is a no. And no is a complete sentence. And there never needs to be justification or explanation. So often, as I'm saying, when you go to something and you're like, oh, you can tell that person doesn't want to be here, right? How many of us have ever said that? You will be that person often, if not always, when you're the one saying yes, when really what you wanted to say was no. And the most powerful thing for me of all of this is honestly the boundary setting piece. So often we have become accustomed to saying we have boundaries, right? I'm never going to let her speak to me like that again. Or I'm going to, like, they need to respect my time. But they're not respecting your time, or they're not respecting your yes, or they're not respecting your no, because you're not respecting your no, or you're not respecting your yes, or you're not respecting your time. And so it is your responsibility and the power to set a boundary. And a boundary is a no with grace. And that grace is because it has power in it, because it's the truth. But the most powerful thing of all is when you hold that boundary, right? And that no becomes, you really don't go, or you really don't have to continue to justify yourself, and you really don't have to try and explain yourself away ever. And I'm going to give a really powerful example for me as well. And it doesn't even feel vulnerable or scary for me, and it's probably going to come as absolutely no surprise. But I'm even talking about just the no in times that feel really sticky or spicy or controversial in all ways. Like a no, the permission, like, or the reclaiming of the power of no is so big for me in every single way, right? So permission to prioritize yourself or your kids or your family or your choices. So I wanted to give the example of, as well, big one. When I choose to have children, they will not be vaccinated. They just will not be vaccinated. I'm not letting the pharmaceutical companies near my children. And unfortunately for the government, they put my dog in the fight with COVID. I was never anti-vax. I was never pro-vax. I wasn't even pro-choice. And then COVID hit. I started to dig. I started to get suspicious. I was like, this does not feel right. Pulled at every thread. Here we are. We all know this, right? But I won't vaccinate my kids. Now, if people ask me, first of all, I feel like, what gives anyone the right to ever ask that question of anyone? So that's a private health thing, but here we are. I just know in 2024 and beyond, people do. But if people ask me and they're like, oh, are your children vaccinated? No. Full stop. It's a complete sentence. That's it. I don't need to justify why. I don't need to explain myself why. And if they ask questions, it's like, it's just a no. I don't need to explain. And literally to say the grace and the power comes in, I actually don't need to explain myself. It's just no. And they can then project, get hysterical. They can do whatever they want to do. They can respect it even. But my boundary that I hold is that my no is a complete sentence, and I reclaim the power of no by using it as a complete sentence. And so this is what I mean with the word no and the power that you can put behind it in every single facet of your life, from it being, if you are asked a question that is spicy or controversial and it feels uncomfortable, and like, because for me, anything anyone ever asks you, the truth and the power is if you can go, I don't feel comfortable answering that, or I don't need to answer that, or you can lie. You do whatever you want to do. But for me, the reclaiming the power of no comes down to, if I am asked a question that I know is controversial and I say no, that's a complete sentence. Just no. Smile. And the person that talks first loses, right? But it's giving yourself permission, as I said, to prioritize yourself. For my mental health, no, they're not. For my children and my family's health and safety, no, right? For the sake of prioritizing my family and my children's health. So this is where I want to say this concept of reclaiming the power of no, first and foremost, is fundamentally about setting new boundaries in your life, number one, and then upholding those boundaries. And the grace and the power that comes from that is you being able to stand in the truth of a no being a complete sentence. And if it is an invite somewhere that you actually don't want to go to, if it is an opportunity that you have typically said yes to, but it's actually a no, if it is an another torturous, by the way, I love my in-laws, like they're gonna be, I was gonna be like, oh, they're not, but they are. Ryan's mum and dad, so my mother and father-in-law are like literally the most beautiful humans on earth. I adore them. But I know that parent-in-laws are not always, right? And so if you have a torturous mother-in-law who makes your life hell or whatever, no, we have to go to mum's this weekend. No, actually. You can, and I'm going to love and respect if you do, but no, it's a no for me this weekend, right? And that's enough. That is enough. And you will respect yourself so much more because of your no, because of the power of that no. And then the other side of this conversation is, as I said, if someone actually asks you a question and it is a no, and in the past that is uncomfortable for you to stand in the truth of that, try it on. Are you going to, which way are you going to, do you know who you're voting for? Or just all the things that, do you, if your friends are going to religion and you're not, hey sis, it's me. Well, are you, do you believe in religion right now? No. No explaining, no justification. And it's the level of respect and love you get to hold in your heart though, and compassion predominantly for anything and everyone. I've got compassion for it all. I love everyone. I love you want to go to your parents. I love you want to go to that event. I love you want that for your kid. Whatever your choices are, I support them. I love them. I cheer you on. I wish you nothing but the best. But for me in my life, if I'm going to get shit done and I'm going to stay true to myself and prioritize myself and understand that no is not selfish, it's self-preservation, then you better make damn sure how strong I know my no is. So that I will leave it there. And I know it's pardon the pun, I know it's not controversial, which is, it's wild that I almost feel like I have to say, I know that it is a tough conversation to have, obviously on a podcast, in a sense, to be like, go and say no, put on this armor of no and reclaim the power of no. But seriously, I can guarantee you right now in your life, there is so much that you are not doing, and so much that you are not doing because you are saying yes to so many other things that you honestly shouldn't be. And that. Your calendar's full of things that actually you would love to not go to or show up to or calls you'd get on, right? But then as well, secondary to that, there are so many things that you could pursue. There's so much growth. There's so much opportunity. There's so much joy. There's so much rest. There's so much juice on the other side of saying no as well, because then you create the space for the things that matter the most to you and you get to prioritize yourself again. So your mission, if you choose to accept it, my love, is to spend the next 30 days saying no when you really mean it, right? I'm not saying go on a no spree. I'm not saying say no when you really mean yes, but recognize and understand that every single time you say yes to something, you are actually saying no to something else because you've just filled that space in your calendar, in your mind, and your body. And every time you say no to something, you're leaving space to be able to say yes to something. So your mission for the next 30 days, if you choose to accept it, is to practice the muscle of saying no and prioritizing yourself and understanding and respecting that no is a complete sentence. So when you start to set that boundary, hold that boundary and say no to things that you otherwise would have said yes to, please know it is going to feel stretchy and uncomfortable. Good, right? Good. That is where the growth is going to happen for you. And then no will become just a really easy, comfortable word in your body. And if you are honestly on the spectrum, right? Everything is a spectrum. On the spectrum of no, if you're at the edge of like which is crazy to some of us because I say no every day, but if saying no feels, it almost gives you anxiety or breaks you out in hives because you're such a people pleaser, I literally want you to go in the mirror over the next 30 days, look yourself in the beautiful eyes in the mirror and say aloud, no, 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 no. And get comfortable because it will feel weird in your body. I do this with everything. Whatever I'm trying to change, whatever I need to do, if you saw my stories the other day, even when I was practicing for a speech, I will practice it because I need to hear it in my mouth. I need to feel it in my body, right? Because we are such kinesthetic people. So if no feels that sticky and uncomfortable for you, your mission is to still practice your no muscle. But if you need practice before the practice, go and do some mirror work with saying no in the mirror and hearing yourself say it and seeing yourself say it and feeling that word in your body, because it's going to feel sticky and uncomfortable in the beginning until it becomes normal habit and practice. That no is just a complete sentence and you feel easy and at peace saying it, full of grace. So that is your homework, my loves. I'm going to leave it there. I'm trying to do shorter episodes. I love you all so much. Go and say no, reclaim the power of no, take back your power. Remember that it is not selfish. It is self-preservation. And until next time, stay wild. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Anything Goes. And if today's episode gave you maybe a new perspective, a little bit of a laugh, you learned something new, or just loved our trip to Taboo Town if we went there, it would honestly mean the world to me if you could leave me some love with writing a review and sharing this episode to your socials. You have no idea how much that helps my little podcast get out in the world. If you love what you gain from these conversations weekly with me as well and want more than just listening in, come and join my inner circle. It's my monthly mastermind where for just $47 a month, the real magic happens. You get me up close, no filter, live coaching. And if you get what you get from this free podcast, imagine what you get in a paid container. Links are in the show notes, friends. And until next time, stay wild.